Here's what I see happening in teams everywhere. Managers who are terrified of being seen as micromanagers. So they swing completely the other way. And then they wonder why nothing gets done quite as they wanted. You hand over a project thinking you're being trusting and supportive. Then 2 weeks later, you're frantically checking in because you actually haven't got any idea where things stand. Does it sound familiar? The problem isn't that you don't trust your team. The problem is that you don't have a system to help you manage this crucial activity. I'm Helen Bryant, I'm a leadership coach, and I've been coaching managers for years who struggle with this exact balance. It's one of the most common topics that comes up in my workshops. And in my corporate days, I was that manager, often feeling like I was one step behind, never quite sure if people were actually doing what I thought they'd committed to. But what I've learned is that accountability isn't about control, it's about clarity. And today I'm going to share 3 systems that will transform how your team takes ownership without you having to chase everyone all the time. The first system is the foundation. You need to create time to actually plan and lead. Most managers are so busy reacting to what's happening at a day-to-day level that they never get ahead of the work. You're in back-to-back meetings, you're dealing with whoever shouts loudest. And by the end of the day, it's very easy to realize that all your energy has gone on managing tasks and not on what you needed to do to lead your team to do that work. Your team can't be accountable to something that isn't clear. So if you are going to find that time to think and get ahead of your team, get clarity, what does that look like in practice? Well, the first is blocking time weekly for planning. Not just all the tasks that you've got to do, but thinking about your team's priorities and any potential challenges. You need to create clear work and project briefs. So what needs doing, by when, by whom, really bringing to life what a good job well done looks like. I think the power of this is not just having it in your head, it's the power of writing it down, documenting the work and making it transparent. It helps you explain it, it helps other people understand it. The next thing to do is to break big annual plans into quarterly milestones so everyone can see both the bigger picture and what needs doing, how their work connects, and what the deliverables are that each person has to deliver for you all to achieve your goals. When you're clear about the work and your expectations for that work, accountability becomes much easier, much more natural. People know what they're working towards and when it needs to happen. And if they don't deliver it, it is so much easier to nip that performance in the bud. But clarity about what needs doing alone is not enough. You need to have the right conversations to transfer ownership properly. The second system is having a framework for accountability conversations that actually build trust. I'm a mega fan of frameworks because it helps you in the moment guide the conversation. And most delegation fails because, to be honest, we can be quite rubbish at it. We either give people too little information and then get frustrated when they don't deliver it as you expected them to, or we give them way too much detail so they feel like perhaps you don't trust them, or it can feel like you're micromanaging them. So I always recommend using a delegation framework called Trust. Let me walk you through it. So T is for task definition. So this is about being crystal clear about what it is you want done and what a good job well done looks like. Not just handle the client presentation, but being much more specific. For example, create a 15-minute presentation covering our Q3 results and next quarter strategy for the client meeting by Friday. The R of trust is for resources and authority. And this is such a valuable thing to get right because it can be easily messed up. What you do here is define exactly what authority the person has. Can they make decisions? Can they spend money up to an amount, say £500? Do they need to check with you before contacting the client? Unclear authority creates bottlenecks and frustration. The U of trust is the understanding check. Now, this is really important. Don't just ask, have you got any questions? Which is such an easy go-to question to ask. Instead, ask them to summarize back what you're asking them to do and by when. And what's really important here, this is not a test. This is, I think, works best if you explain why. I want to check that I have been clear. So could you just summarize back what it is I want you to do by when in a nice, friendly and open way? Because this is just such a critical moment of alignment between you. This is when you find out whether you're on the same page, whether you've been clear in explaining it and whether your team member has understood and has the same clarity. It takes just a couple of minutes, but I promise you, this prevents weeks worth of confusion. I was coaching someone who was having a real challenge with accountability of their team. And he was really wrestling with it. And he said, this one step changed just about everything for him. He was doing the first bit and the end bit quite well. But this bit to say, have I been clear? And now are we aligned is so, so valuable. And particularly important, obviously, for encouraging accountability. So back to the trust framework. S is for support plan. And here's a bit that makes a big difference to your own time management, because what you need to do is agree up front what support they want from you and when and how you're going to check in with each other. So instead of randomly wandering around and asking, how's it going, which can feel like micromanaging, you are going to agree how that's all going to work. So you might just say, let's have a quick catch up on Wednesday to see how you're getting on. The important thing again is to agree with each other and let them define what support they actually want. The T of trust is timeline and tracking. This is where you set and agree clear milestones and agree how progress will be measured. So why this is great for you, you know where you need to be. And if this is written down, it makes it so much easier to keep this front of mind and pop it into your diary and know when things are going to come back. So you're not chasing, you're only chasing when you need to chase because something has been missed. But I find that on the whole, when you have this clarity, people know what they're working to and they're just so much more proactive. But even with great delegation, things can still fall apart if your team isn't aligned. The third system, therefore, is creating intentional alignment moments that work whether your team is in the office, remote, or hybrid. So one of the biggest challenges I hear from managers is I don't know what everyone's working on when we're all not together. Because when everybody's in the office, you do get a sense of where people are. So fair enough. But the solution really isn't to force everyone back into the office. It's to be far more intentional about when and how you connect and how you work together. So how this would work is first, regular one-to-ones that aren't just catch-ups, weekly or fortnightly for a minimum of 30 minutes that don't get postponed. And always start those sessions with what do you want to focus on today, because it's their session with you. Your role really is to be a guide, an unblocker and a coach. So don't go tell me what you've been doing and jump into the status update, but instead allow your team members to come with the biggest issues that they need to resolve or something they need to talk through with you. These conversations, as a consequence, become way more valuable at unblocking work and giving you opportunities to coach and support your team through doing the work. The second way to align your team better is to have a quarterly face-to-face strategy session. For me, this is an absolute non-negotiable. I introduced this into my team years ago. I cannot tell you how much it alone changed how we worked as a team. Get everyone in the same room at least once a quarter to talk about the bigger picture, solve complex problems, and build relationships. Bring people together. You cannot simply achieve the same level of alignment and team building remotely. This is such a valuable moment and kind of anchors each quarter of the year. So everybody knows where they're going, how their work fits together, and you're solving problems and building the capability of your team as you go. Thirdly, is to make work visible. So using project management tools, even simple ones like Kanban, so everyone can see what's happening without having to ask. And when work and progress is transparent, accountability I find, happens a lot more naturally. And now the goal here isn't monitoring your team, it's to create an environment where everybody sees how these are tools that help us all work better together. But making work transparent is such a great way of encouraging accountability. And I found there's kind of a side benefit, which is often the tension can be between you and that a team member. But when team members see how all their work webs together with each other, it increases accountability because people don't want to let down a peer who is connected with their work. So this is such a valuable thing to do. These three systems work together. The planning gives you clarity about what needs to happen. The trust framework ensures everyone understands their role on a particular piece of work and feels supported. And the alignment moments keep everyone connected to that bigger picture and improves the teamwork. You don't need more hours. You need a better system, a better way of working. And when you get this right, something absolutely brilliant happens because the team builds and it starts to gain a momentum of its own. It starts to solve solutions without always coming to you. They take ownership because they understand not just what to do, but why it matters and how it all fits together. And you finally get to lead instead of managing the nitty-gritty detail. Now, if you're thinking that makes sense, but where do I start? That's exactly what my Manager OS course is designed to help you with. These three systems are just part of a complete operating system that helps managers like you build sustainable leadership habits. It's not about learning more theories. It's about having practical frameworks and tools you can use immediately to reclaim your time and lead more effectively. If you're ready to stop feeling like you're always one step behind your team, then click on the link below to find out more about Manager OS. But before you go, these three systems work because they're all part of something bigger. If you want to understand the complete leadership framework that successful managers use to build these systems, I'd watch this video next where I share the leadership system every manager needs. It's the foundation that makes everything else work.